Okay, so this is my farm. This is part of my farm, Terrapin Farm. We're in northwest Montana. We're in a pretty challenged climate. Seeds are, thank you. Seeds are a part of what we do. They are not all of what we do. That's going to be changing a little bit. You've been hearing that story quite a bit this weekend, but that is going to be changing a little bit. We have a 60-day frost-free season. I'll start there. It's not easy. Yeah. Some years we frost every month. But not every year. Not every year. And I heard, I think it was Jonathan Spiro say he was getting a seed crop 1 out of 3 years, and he just said it like matter-of-factly, and that's kind of how it goes sometimes. We're disking down buckwheat there in the squash. We love buckwheat. Buckwheat makes us happy. Buckwheat is good for me, good for the soil, and good for our pollinators. Let me see. Okay, this is why I farm. Just had to throw that in there. Farm for the future. This is my seed notebook. And you started out by seeing, I think this is kind of interesting, you started out by seeing what Winston had going, and then we saw what Beth had going, which was really technical in my book, and she didn't think so, but I did. And this just shows me what we've had each year at inventory, what we've ordered. Star tells me I need to order it. This is from the aspect of a vegetable grower for the most part. But if you see the word lots, it's because we have lots. It's because it means we produce it. We produce over 500 varieties of plants and over 50 varieties of seed. Again, that's going to change a little bit. But there's the buckwheat at the stage where it hums. You can't even get near it without feeling the vibrations. And that's our greenhouse up there with primarily mama trays of peppers about to go into it. Greenhouse business also has been going big and is now going to go away. They're too heavy to carry. Let's see. Trees surrounding the property help considerably with keeping us isolated from the canola that's impinging on us at all times. What you're looking at is peas, heavy on the fencing right now, and a good portion of that is sumo, which is a seed variety that we're trying to resurrect. And because why do we grow seeds? We grow seeds because we're losing our seeds. Sumo was one we were losing, so it's one we're trying to bring back because it's a great seed. Okay, we're looking from the west in the evening. And you can see our greenhouse, our hard house, which is where we do our bedding plants. Hoop houses for us are isolation, and they are season extension, so it's a little bit everything. In the foreground, there's lettuces trying to go to seed. Trying is a key word for lettuce for us, because even with lettuce, it's hard to sometimes get it out, get it to produce. Community-supported ag. The picture is changing in agriculture tremendously, and a lot of CSAs are popping up all over. And we're going to drop our CSA. They don't know it yet. You guys know it now before they do. But it'll give me the ability to concentrate more on the things I really love. We do farmers markets, we do internships, and so it's not just me on the farm. I have about the same size farm, I think, as Beth does, but I have anywhere from 3 to 6 interns a year. We're going to stay with the 3, I think, now, and work our way down there, just to kind of lighten the load. Interns are wonderful, but I don't know if you guys looked at the internship things in the lobby. There's this huge page of people looking for interns, and this huge page of available interns. The one is covered. The other one is blank. So this is not a reflex. Oh, I can look at the pictures here. I don't have to look up there. All right. So this one, we're looking towards the west with the sun going down over the Tally Ridge. And we're also looking at the diversity of veg there. We seed trial a lot, and even when we're not seed trialing, we're taste testing a ton of varieties. That was a year we were doing cucumber seed trials. We normally do 8 varieties anyways. We threw 12 more into the mix for trials, and the interns hated lunch for about a month when I made them describe cucumber varieties every day. And we do, the power of no is very powerful, but we don't see it. You see a fellow named Ben there, and he's packing lettuce right into a box. Not something I ever do, except that it's going to the food bank, because we don't have the power of no. Okay. I just said that we don't normally field pack right into boxes. We hydrocool our lettuce, and that's just going to the food bank, so it's going. They're going to go send it out the door in a minute. Shallots. We love shallots. That's our glacier rose shallot seed in the front there. And is this one on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, you guys. Shallots are something we really love. We've dehybridized one, but you know what? You get a failure every few years. And it just happens. Failure happens, and we learn from our failures. We did have a seed failure in our shallot seed this year, unfortunately, but not so much so that we're not going to be able to bring it back. It'll come. Except now I got to. Okay. That went the other way. I'm blowing it. Okay. Me and the computer. Farmers market. There's an on-farm produce stand, which also didn't work that well, so it's now, that is full of irrigation. And we always have something in bloom. We love flowers. We don't sell a lot of flowers, but we love flowers. We do flowers for seed, but flowers keep our creatures happy. I did tell you we had a challenging climate, and actually this ice on the zinnias, this is a really good thing. Because the zinnias survived. And the ice is what made them survive. That iglued them and kept that little layer below the ice, the layer of air that pockets between ice and the plant. So we do use overhead irrigation. We do a lot of drip irrigation, but we do overhead irrigation for season extension. Hoop houses are used, as I said, for season extension and for crop isolation. And this is, we do tomatoes in the hoop houses, we do peppers, we do tomatillos inside and outside. You'll notice the remay on the ground in the one and ready to cover at any moment, because that moment is about to happen. I can tell by all the clothes I'm wearing. This is Carlo. I told the story of Carlo a little bit the other day, but this is Carlo Peppers, and they are hands down one of the best peppers we've ever been able to grow. And so when we lost Carlos, we had to go back into and resurrect them. Tomatillos, and this is another variety, a selected variety called Purple Blush. Love tomatillos. I'm going to try and hurry through these. This is a perpetual spinach called Spinach Everlasting in the background, and we call this the spinach jungle. The plants get huge. We don't necessarily stake our spinach seed. I find that we go through at such a heavy pace that we don't always take the time to do it, and when it's not staked, we just have a lot anyways, so we don't worry about a little bit not making it into the bin. Poppies, this is a breadseed poppy, and in the background you can see calendula, which is one of my favorite crops. Both do well in our climate. The breadseed poppy I like because the vents don't open on it, and it makes a really nice sized head. Harvesting arugula seed, you can see the tarp on the ground, the strings from tying it up, and we usually go through and harvest a couple of times, and then we get to the very end, we end up taking the plants down to do it. And on the right, you're looking at shallot seeds. This is what a kitchen looks like, right? Tomatoes fermenting, tomatoes drying, peppers fermenting, or peppers drying out and getting ready to get cleaned out. And this is what the kitchen looks like. Everything's always really well labeled with the sticky note. Cucumbers, tomatillos, dining room floor, dining room table. There's a salt shaker, so we do eat there. That's how I know it's the dining room table. But it's all by the wood stove there, getting ready to get dried down. Fans are always running. Fans are huge. And that's my slides. I would like to just say a little bit. In a mixed operation, vegetables and seeds, it's really hard to balance. Is your seed production going to, is your vegetable production going to affect your seed production? You're limited on your varieties if you're growing a vegetable that's about to go to seed. So you gotta, in looking at the numbers, you gotta really consider how those numbers, how your vegetables affect your seeds and how your seeds affects your vegetables. But usually it works the other way with pollination. You know, for instance, in a peppo, that you can only grow one peppo. Some of those squashes you saw back further were cross squashes between a spaghetti squash and a pumpkin. And that's fine for production. For some reason, the cross between the spaghetti squash and the pumpkin, I find, has a 3-year shelf life. It's an amazing, and it gets totally delicious after a year and a half, but I don't know why. But that's something you really have to look at. Looking at a crop-to-crop comparison, and you mentioned that and asking about the enterprise budget tool, and if you could do it all on one, you can just keep doing it repeatedly, you know, for different crops, and do it that way. And that's what we have done. We've compared covered crops to bare ground crops. And years ago, Nikos told me, if you're going to grow it under cover, it's not worth growing for seed. And or maybe that's not a direct quote. I won't, she's giving me this, like, did I really? When I sat down after, I'm not an economics person. I'm not one that really compares things, how much I'm getting per square foot type stuff. But with Winston's program here, and I looked at what we do indoors, undercover, where we're having to open and close a hoop house every day. And then I looked at what I do out in the field, like an arugula crop in the field. It makes a really big difference. We're not making bank on crops undercover. But we love the crops. And I'm going to do them anyway, so I might as well sell them and get a little bit of my money back for it. But when you start looking at the tool, it really opens your eyes to, I went down there 6 times this week just to open and close, or just to turn on irrigation on and off. Or, you know, and you're turning it on and off for maybe a whole field, but you have to extrapolate in this tool when you get down to the nitty-gritty and look at how many row feet or what a fraction of an acre you're using. It really makes you see, you know, how much you're actually putting into each crop. And you can wiggle figures any way you want to wiggle. Did I just say that? But you can. And, you know, well, it only took this long. Well, it really took that long. You know, so it's an eye-opener, and it's an interesting tool. Seeds are about 10% of our bottom line on our farm, and that's going to change.
Did you just mention where you sell your seeds?
Oh, most of my seeds go out on contract. We also, Carl and I and a number of other folks, I think there's 10 of us now, have Triple Divide Organic Seed Cooperative. It's 100% Montana-grown organic seed. And that's not, we have a really different arrangement with Triple Divide than we do with when we're doing contract. Because it's almost consignment. Ooh, that's kind of really hard to say for seed. but we get paid by the packet when the packets get sold, or by whatever percentage of the pound when the pounds get sold. So that's where the passion part comes in. I love the seeds. I love my varieties. I love growing them, and I love knowing that we're keeping seeds around for the future generations. And as long as they're going to let me keep doing it, I might as well. Yep, thank you.